Twin, welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys for coming back, and first of all, thank you guys for subscribing and liking the video. You guys have helped me grow this channel, and if you're new to the channel, please like, please subscribe, and please leave a comment because I do write back to you guys, and let me know where you guys are watching the video from. If you're in South Africa, drop your location, and if you're living outside of South Africa, drop your location. Again, I'm in Chocolate City. The video that I got for you guys today, I think it's going to be a good one. It's about the white only town that's located somewhere in South Africa. I was scrolling through YouTube and it came across my feed, and I'm like, man, this would probably be very interesting because you don't really hear about a white only place that much throughout the world. I mean, you know, you got European, most of those countries are all white. In America, we have sundown towns, and I will react to a video today if you guys want to know more about it. But they just don't say white only. We just know we don't go there, but you don't really hear about it nowhere else. And to hear about it here in South Africa is wild. So if you guys know about it, let me know. Let me know what you guys know about it. And if this is new to you, let's get ready for this ride because it looks like it's going to be very interesting. So let's jump into the video and let's learn something.
Bro, like literally they have everything in here. Wow. I made it to Orania, and believe me or not, this is not the Orania that I was expecting. Because when I got here,
Orania,
I found a country within South Africa. Are we looking at the Republic of Orania?
I think there's different levels to freedom. I think our dream, we as Afrikaners, we love republics. We've created maybe about 20 in South Africa. Only 2 of them survived long term. It was the Republic of the Transvaal and the Free State. So we are people who love republics. Our ideal form of government is a republic. And I hope that one day, maybe my children will see it.
Good morning, or should I say sunrise, from Orania. Today is actually my first day waking up from Orania, and it was such a peaceful night. But it's kind of crazy to know that I'm the only black man in here. I mean, it's so crazy knowing that you just woke up in a white only town.
We feel so patriotic about our community, so proud. It's still small, you know, but we're so proud of the things that we have achieved.
Today, Orania operates like its own micronation. The town of about 3,000 people run its own economy, and one of the backbones of their economy is agriculture. Do you guys export this?
Yes. So we'll sell it outside. It brings money into our economy. Another interesting thing, obviously, is that here we can do something that a lot of farmers can't do, and that is we can plant 2 harvests in 1 year. So we plant the wheat in the summer. Just before Christmas, this is harvested. It's plowed very quickly, and the farmers work 20 hours a day to get it done. They harvest, they plow, they plant, and then it's maize. So your next harvest is maize, and you harvest that in the winter. In June, July, and when that goes out, you've got a short time to put in the wheat again. So
all the farmers live in Orania.
Obviously, there's farms surrounding Orania as well. Okay. This is an Orania farmer, this one.
So who owns this farm?
An individual farmer owns it. It is part of Orania, but an individual farmer owns this land, and the farmer works it for their own benefit and revenue and takes the risks for themselves.
It's really mind-blowing to see a town with just 3,000 people owning their own solar farm. Does it mean that, like, you guys don't depend on the national grid?
We're still connected to the national grid.
Yeah.
So at the moment we're approximately 45% independent from the utility, and the dream is to go the whole way.
What is the idea behind this whole solar farm, and which year did it begin?
It began in 2021.
Recent.
Recent.
Very recent. What is the main reason why you established your own solar farm, knowing that you live within South Africa?
The main reason for Orania is that we want to be, from the start of Orania, we wanted to be independent on many levels. And one level is energy. Our energy, if you're not energy independent, you're not free.
What makes you feel so proud as an Oranian? Should I say Oranian or South African?
You're Oranian. We're Oranians. We're in South Africa. We not loose from South Africa. They are our neighbors. We pay taxes in South Africa, but we're proud Oranians.
Schools in Orania do not teach in English as the rest of South Africa, but rather Afrikaans. Do you have a school in here?
We have two high schools, primary and secondary, and then we also have a college, tertiary training. We are dreaming to build our own Afrikaans university.
And you teach in Afrikaans?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Everything we do is Afrikaans. And studies show that children who are taught in their mother tongue perform better than children who are taught in another language like me.
If study shows that students learn better in their mother's tongue, then why are they not in their motherland? Why aren't they doing this in their motherland? That makes no sense. Students learn better in their mother's tongue, so they're so far removed from the original people that came to South Africa, but their mother's tongue, and if they go back to where they're originally from, one of their children or their kids do a lot better speaking that language in the country that they originally came from. Okay, I'm not even liking this guy. He seemed like he makes stuff up.
Are you against the educational system in South Africa?
Well, I'm definitely against the Bala law that's currently being implemented.
What is that?
That is a law that gives the state control of the schools rather than the parents of the schools. So we're very much against that. I think it's the state grabbing the power of schools, taking away people's rights. There's a lot of religious issues with that. There's lots of cultural issues with that. So South Africans are actually very angry about that. That's why the schools that we built here, we get zero state funding. We don't get a cent from the government, and it's also not expensive. So all the extra money that we need for our schools, we have to raise with projects.
So does it mean that like all the people that study in this school are from Orania? Do you get people out of Orania?
Yeah, just surrounding farms and so on also come here, and then the college, tertiary training, people from around the country also to come to study here.
You can study here, but you can't live in here.
Well, they can. All of them can apply for the right to citizenship in Orania, definitely.
Citizenship? The college in Orania don't believe in theory only, but rather practicals, because they believe that the children are the ones that will be able to build the future of Orania. You have a college in Orania.
We identified the need to train our people in physical skills, plumbing, electrical work, and masonry to build houses, and that's called the skills. And that's why we started the college. In 2019 we had only 5 students, 2020 50, and now there's about 124. We're expecting more than 200 next year.
So this is more like a plumbing practical class?
Yes.
Wow.
So the first groups of students made everything, and now the second and third and fourth generation, they get to use everything the first guys built.
Their life becomes easier.
No, these tables, they built it with their lecturers.
Wow. I'm really impressed with the infrastructure development in Orania, because a town of about 3,000 people got their own airstrip, and every single road that you see in this town was actually built and financed by the people. what do you do in Oran?
My responsibility is the growth of Orania. In other words, in Orania we don't get any money from the government. We are responsible to create our own economy and your own wealth. So my responsibility is to make sure where is the certain areas that needs to address, and then we address our areas. What we are doing, we have various projects. This is just an example of a few projects that we currently busy. If you just go outside, you'll see we're currently busy building this place, this building. So it's going to be a 3-story building. That's a building that's being built here, just next to us.
Okay. The question is, how will you fund a project like this?
Okay. What we do is we say there's two various companies.
Okay.
The one company is a company that's funding, but it must make commercial sense. And then other company rent it from that company, but it's two separate countries. So you must focus on your own business. We must make sure that Orania is growing. We are not in the...
okay.
So we rent this building from another company, and that company just make economic sense. In other words, yeah.
They've built their own health facilities, and each facility is equipped with ambulance. But if the case is beyond them, they will airlift you to the general hospital in South Africa.
The helipad, we have a helipad here that can be used during emergencies. We have situations where we had needed a helipad to do recons around the area, but also if there are medical emergencies where people need to be moved to hospital, we can airdrop them, we can bring in the helipad. We also have the ambulance services that help us, so we can move people to hospitals if they need to.
Orania got its own bank, and what really shocks me to see that they trade in their own currency, popularly known as the Ora. The Ora, their local currency, is used within the community to keep the money circulating among residents. Which one is the highest denomination?
So it's easy to distinguish from the rand. The 200 is the highest in value, and it goes all the way to 10 Ora. So you get the 200, 100, 50, 20 and 10, just like the rand currency.
So exchange rate?
Exchange rate is 1 to 1. So 1 rand is equal to 1 Ora. It's just to make administration quite easy, but the benefit of the Ora brings a few benefits to Orania.
So the people of Orania trade with Ora?
That's correct.
Will this be relevant when I step out of Orania?
No, because you can only spend it in Orania. Wow. That keeps the economy growing. It also makes it more safe to use, because there's not going to be robberies or theft of the Ora, because you can only use it in Orania. And also it's a cultural emblem for our community.
So I just want to know, is it the same price like they sell it everywhere in the country?
Yes.
That's how it is?
Yes.
And how am I supposed to pay? Rands or Ora?
You can pay in rand or in Ora.
Oh, you accept both currencies?
Yes.
That's impressive. It's surprising to see that a town of about 3,000 people have their own manufacturing plant, to the extent that they manufacture things within this town and then sell it to the people out and within South Africa.
We produce here, we design and manufacture here, and then...
So I've been quiet, and I am actually really listening and learning. There's a lot to unpack, and just even looking at this, 3,000 people in a town that's trying to grow, and a lot of your things that you're exporting is because you're doing actual manual labor. And it seems like it's one of those places where everybody roll up your sleeves and get to working. And I don't believe that it will I don't believe that it will last for a long time. One, it seemed like the people who are the leaders or a lot of people in the town is older, and I would have to have my wife explain it to her. She explained to me a while ago about Japan, where there's a lot of older people, and like Japan population has like plateaued, and because not too many people are having babies, and a lot of the population is older. And I see this as the same thing, where it's going to plateau, where a lot of the people who originally came there are older, and they're going to pass on. And with the economy, and it looked like a lot of the stuff they're doing in labor, what happens when a female wants to have a child and don't want to work? And if you're not bringing in boatloads of people, more than 150, 200 people to live and stay, then the population is going to plateau. And then you're going to have your onesie twosie that are going to see the world and say, I want to leave this place and go off into the regular South Africa, or go off into Europe or whatever. And it's going to be like one of those small towns in Europe where people leave, and it's going to be like 2 to 3 people that just live in the town. I don't see this lasting for that much longer. Maybe 2035, maybe 2040 at tops. This will not last for a long time, because you got to be bringing in way more people, and you got to be producing something that everybody wants and stuff. A belt, not everybody's just going to be buying belts. At one point in time, people stopped wearing belts. That was part of like the trend. So yeah, I don't see this lasting for that much longer.
And then everything goes out with courier, and within a day or two is delivered to the customer's door address. And by doing that, we get customers that live elsewhere in South Africa to support an Iranian business.
So in order to build the economy of Orania, you have to export products that are made in here, and the money comes back here.
Absolutely, yes.
That's impressive, man. Orania got their own local governance.
I think what is important of it is the fact that it's totally unique.
What makes it unique?
Well, there's no other such town council in South Africa. First, it's free of political parties. There's no political parties in.
And then just looking at the people that are the political party, or the people commissioners, whatever you call it, they're all males and stuff. So now you're telling me that you only want a one-way thinking society where females do not have a seat at the table, because I did not see a female sitting at the table. So now there's going to be that itch to leave, because at every society there's going to be an uproar of what's fair, and I'm not being treated fair, and my rights. Even though you guys are trying to create a utopia, this is not a utopia. This is a let's go back 100 years type of city or township, but with modern toys. That's exactly what it is.
In Orania at all the people here representing the community are personally nominated and voted for. Secondly, we had a settlement with the South African government in the year 2000 about our status as a municipality, giving us the option to first make our own municipal bylaws as a local government, and secondly to have our own local taxes and levies, which we can use for the development of Orania. So no party politics, no salaries for the elected officials. Obviously the officials, the head engineer and the head of roads and those people, they get paid, but the elected officials do not get paid for their service to the community, and that's what makes it unique.
Is that Oranian flag?
This is our flag, yes, indeed.
Who is that? Who is this young man in there?
This young man is called the Little Giant.
The Little Giant?
Yeah, it symbolizes rolling up your sleeves to work. So, firstly, because of the fact that we're saying we as a culture, no one is coming to save us, no one is going to build a future for us. What we want to build, we'll have to roll up our sleeves and build ourselves. And secondly, the fact that we do our own work is also represented in that. Our goal, our mission here is to preserve our culture, to build something for our culture, to preserve our religion. The question, oh, why can't a black person come here, is not the right question. It's more a question like a marriage between two people. It's an exclusive affair. Doesn't mean you're against anyone else. You take your wife, she's important to you.
Yep.
Or you know, and in your wedding, in your marriage, you're exclusive. Doesn't mean it's not built on hate. It's built on love for our culture. We want to preserve our culture. We want to preserve our traditions, our faith, our language. These are the things that we want to preserve.
But someone might ask, if you want to preserve your culture, you're preserving your culture on a land that belongs to South Africans.
Well, that is whole nother debate. The land here we bought, we paid for it.
From who?
Well, at that stage we bought it from the previous owner, which was the government, right?
But I don't think an African can leave Africa, go to Europe and say that we just bought this land and no one is allowed to come in.
My family came here in 1683. Right, my family arrived here. That is longer than American government official visited Orania a while back, and when I told him that fact, he said, well, that's way longer than my white family has been in America. I said, you guys are here in Africa longer than my people was in America.
Yeah.
So our name is Afrikaners, our language is Afrikaans. Right, so we feel part of this continent, and maybe people don't agree, but I don't have another home. Obviously I know that I have European roots.
Yeah.
400 years ago.
Yeah.
For 400 years my people have been here.
Yeah.
I love Africa. I don't want to live any place else. I feel a part of this continent. My language grew, obviously from Dutch, but it grew on this continent. This is the place where I feel at home, and I've been overseas. This is the only place that I feel at home, is Africa. So there's a bit of symbolism here. So all of these busts have been either thrown away elsewhere, or they've been either donated or thrown away. And we put them in a half circle back here to represent these men are part of our history. No nation's history is only good, but also no nation's history is only bad. However, all of this is part of our history, and we put it in a semicircle with the symbolism. They cannot look over the edge of the hill. They are in the past, they're part of our history, but they're in the past.
With all the monument that I see in here, would you agree with me if I say that this man performed a lot of atrocities in the past?
Well, I think obviously these are controversial figures, and I think the fact that we put them here in Orania with our own funding, some people are uncomfortable in the rest of South Africa to care for them, to see them in public, and I think that's why Orania is also a solution to a lot of the international conversation about monuments, because this is on private land, private funds, and it's our history.
But I know it's your history, but at the end of the day, a lot of people were harmed in the process. You don't think if you are embracing this, you're definitely embracing apartheid?
Is it okay to celebrate Shaka Zulu leader? Do you know who that is?
I know who Shaka Zulu is.
He killed a lot of people. Is it fine to celebrate him?
That's a question for South Africans.
That is a question. This is a question for Oranians.
He was more like the architect for apartheid. Do you agree with that?
I agree with the fact that he implemented a lot of policies in the apartheid era. I think the apartheid legacy comes from the South Africa that the British created in 1910, the legal framework that they created at that stage, and the realities that follow after that. A lot of the South African black people fought on the British side and did not get recognition or the ability to vote after that. Yes, he continued with some policies, he created new ones, but the reality of South Africa in that context was already set there in 1910.
You don't think it's because of this that's why people have problems with Orania. Because of history like this, because so many South Africans are not happy with this history, even though it's part of them. But I believe, like you just said, let the past be past. I mean, we can never forget our history. But I mean, I feel like this being here, it's more like a, what do you call it? Like a sword in the eyes of the people of South Africa.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. We have had from the ANC Youth League, we have had influential South African politicians. We have had 2 state presidents of South Africa. Nelson Mandela landed with his helicopter just there. We have had traditional black communities, Xhosas, Zulus. We have had the people of the Barulong tribe. All of them have been there. I have seen in their eyes no offense. They have expressed no offense. They have embraced Orania as a model that they can learn from, and they understand that we have the right to put our history in a context for our people here, for a way that we can explain it to our children and our grandchildren.
My experience is 2 things I take from Orania. Number 1 is that they're doing it for themselves. And that's the culture that we as black people need to learn fast and hard. They've got white domestic workers, they build their place. You look at Orania and jealous down. What is wrong with Orania for me is the racism thing. What is right is the fact that those people are building a city right in front of our eyes.
The 10-year plan for Orania is to turn this that you see here, to take this from town to city. And true to our culture, we don't want a big city full of skyscrapers. We're going to build no higher than 3 stories. And we will integrate our agriculture with our city. What we want is a city that feels like farm, because we are farm people. We are people who live in the open, like camping and hunting and outdoor activities. So we want a city that feels like a farm, and we're going to build a rural city. That's our dream. Our businesses, our schools, our Afrikaans university between these agricultural lands here around us.
People out there believe that Orania is a racist model. Do you believe that whatever you guys are practicing here is racism?
I do not believe that we are practicing racism. To tell you the truth, I've said it many times that if the question is, are there racists in Orania, I can assure you there are. There are racists in every town in South Africa and every country in the world you'll find racists. That is a fact. The Orania model is a model of cultural preservation, and that is not racist. So you might disagree with me, but my personal belief, my honest belief, is that the Orania model is not racist at all. It is, however, a model to preserve something that we hold dear and to create a future where we can live our values, our religion, our language, and share our culture.
Who are the people that are not allowed in here?
Well, Afrikaners live here. Afrikaners live here. Afrikaners who embrace the idea of own labor, we embrace our freedom ideals. This is who lives here.
If you check when South Africa gained independence, if you check the coat of arms of South Africa, it said there is unity in diversity. Orania is within South Africa, but at the end of the day, I believe what you are practicing in here is not unity in diversity.
I beg to differ.
Can you explain that?
How can there be any diversity in South Africa if cultures are not allowed to be themselves? How can there be any diversity at all? If everyone is the same, there's no diversity. If you have a cultural community and you have the Xhosa people or the Barulong people, and they also embrace their identity, and from a standpoint of knowing who you are, of being proud of your culture, of embracing who you are, you get to a point of self-confidence where you then can put out your hand and say, without anyone forcing us, I can build a diplomatic relationship with this and this, and we can do it on our own terms, community to community. That's unity and diversity. To just write it on a coat of arms doesn't mean anything. To live it by creating your own identity. Identity is needed for diversity. Without identity, there is no diversity.
Based on the conversation we've had so far, I feel like the Afrikaners actually have a problem with the English.
Well, we sure have our historical disagreements. I think there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
The reason for that is the English took us to the brink of extinction. They took us to the brink of extinction. They almost, in the peace negotiations after the Second War with the English, one of the generals said, if we continue this war,
we will be genocided off the face of the earth. We cannot continue this war. At that stage, 30,000 women and children were killed in concentration camps. So they took us to the brink of total stopping to exist. So obviously Afrikaners had a historic feeling of being threatened by that. I think that we are past that and so on, but still we have that colonial force of the national government in South Africa trying to make all the schools English, for example. It's not something we agree with.
If you have that problem with English, I guess black South Africans also need to have a problem with you, because at the end of the day, they were enslaved. They went through, I mean, with apartheid that happened, I mean, for me being here, I feel like seeing what I'm seeing, with what you're saying, I feel like Orania is glorifying apartheid.
Then I don't think you understand Orania.
I perfectly understand. I understand whatever you're saying. You don't think?
In the Great Trek, in the wars, many of our people were killed by leaders like Dingaan and Shaka. And you know, and there's the issues with the previous regime as well. So our question now is, are we going to hold this as a tit-for-tat game forever? Orania's way of thinking about that is a very niche model. I don't think it's a mainstream idea of thinking about it, but we have our own way of thinking. We view freedom as not being oppressed by anyone and not oppressing anyone. And I think that's not the reality in South Africa anymore. I think, you spoke about apartheid now, so the systems put in place, what is the difference between having a pass under the apartheid regime to go into a certain place to go work and and now swiping an ID card to get into a luxury estate to do people's work? What's the difference? You're still living in the township. What is the practical difference?
So are you saying that apartheid still exists in South Africa today?
I think the economic equalities based on race in South Africa still exist. And I think the only place where that doesn't exist, because the people do their own work, is here. And I think there is no going forward unless Afrikaners embrace that model. Listen, what you're not going to get in Orania is people falling on their knees, continuously saying sorry for their history. A lot of people apologized on our behalf for everything, and there's a lot of internal Afrikaner friction about that. But in Orania, you will find solutions. Maybe it's not the nice cherry on top stuff, people feel warm in their hearts, Orania is so nice to us, but you will find long-term solutions in terms of labor policies, in terms of community-to-community relationships, and in terms of the way we think.
Listen, I might not agree with the ideologies of the people living in Orania in certain aspect, but I believe that what they've done in here is super impressive, and I feel like other communities within the continent of Africa can embrace these ideas. You know, I've been talking about self-independent, self-sufficient now. I mean, I believe that that's what Kwame Nkrumah's ideology was, and basically everything is here. These guys don't need to step out of, Orania. They can actually live here and survive. Let's talk about the continent of Africa. When COVID happened, most of us could not even survive because we just depended on the West. We're dependent on China for survival. But I believe that if we start, building our own communities, our own way, knowing that, hey, we're gonna make money and use the money that we make within our community to build our community, I believe that the entire Africa will be super great, man. What do you think the world can learn from Orania?
I think what the world needs to know about Orania is there's nothing strange about it. It's across the world, you get this whole thing that people come together, and we feel the same as hundreds and thousands of other people. If you look at a country like South Tyrol, they do exactly the same. And I don't think there's anything sinister about it, and the world needs to know that what's going on in Orania is the same what is going on in the kingdom of Zululand or the kingdom of Lesotho or the kingdom of whatever it might be. It's people who feel they need to get together and who think together and maybe work out a better future for themselves.
So I am going to end it there. As you guys can see, the video have ended. My thoughts. He basically said that it is a gated community. He compared, not the gentleman at the end, but the whole time he was comparing Orania to a gated community that only certain people could get in. And once he said it that way, I completely understand. There's places where you move to in the United States that it's a gated community and you pay to be there, and you only want a certain group of people to come in, the ones that are going to keep the community or the neighborhood a certain way. And I live in a high-rise, a luxury apartment here in DC, and only way you could get in is you got a key fob in, and then you can key fob to your level that you live on and to certain amenities. So I agree to what he said on that front. What I disagree with this guy is he never took accountability. Every time the content creator would ask him a question or push back at him, he blamed somebody else. He blamed the British. He blamed Shaka Zulu. He blamed everyone else besides taking accountability. And then even when he was saying, hey, about racists, he's like, yes, we have racists here, but there's racist people all over the place. And it's just accountability. So I think let them have it. If they bought it, let them have it. Because as you saw at the end, and if you go back, a lot of the people that was walking was old, and you only see one like smaller child in that little picture with all the older people walking. They're so top heavy with older people, they're not going to last long. And for a community to last, you got to have a lot of people coming in and wanting to live that lifestyle. And he said it before, being a farmer is not luxurious at all. It's a lot of hard work. And you got to have that mindset of people who want to do that. And in that case, you had like how many white South Africans that left there to come to America, and they could have just went there and been part of that society. And I'm pretty sure you guys got more South Africans living in slums that they don't even want in that community. So they're going to be very picky on who actually come into their little town. But my thoughts on it is I definitely have no problem with it. And I think a lot of places in Africa can take the blueprint and build a little town for them that could be self-sustaining. And especially you could create and export, but be more diverse. And I think you will go far. And I think that's what, if you look at what a lot of these tech billionaires and the billionaires around the world is trying to do with the 15-minute city, that's what the world wants to go to anyway, where like little cities where you belong to it and you have everything within inside that 15-minute radius. So I have no problem with what they are doing. The only problem I have is how they spinning it like it's preserving a culture. If you want to really preserve a culture, go back to your country, or go back to the Netherlands. I think that's where the Dutch come from. Go back there. If you saying that you want to preserve your mother tongue, go back to that. That's just like us being Black Americans. I get when he said that I've been there for 400 years. My family been here for 300 plus years. So I am an American, just like the white people came over on a boat as they said they're Americans. I'm American too. I belong here. Might have roots in somewhere in Africa, as my ancestors probably came from, and also I have a lot of European in me. Also, just about more Black Americans. We have a lot of Europeans in us too. But America's my home, so I got that. I felt that when he said that. But all the other stuff he said, man, give me a break. So I'm going to leave it there. What did you guys think? How do you guys feel about Orania? Is it a place that you want to go visit just to see? Or is it a place where you say it's out in the middle of nowhere, you guys can have it? But again, I thought it was a very interesting video. I'm glad I watched it. And if you like the video, give me a like, hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel, and always leave a comment. Until the next video, this was React with Rob, and I am out.